Okay. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is the Think Tank show, and then we are going to continue where we ended yesterday. Um, most of you are now. When I came online yesterday, because I thought I wasn't going to make it today, but we did a little and still have a lot more to start with today. And then we're just going to continue with a reaction to the Sputnik V vaccine probe now, Minister of Health versus a committee that's set up to Parliament to probe this issue. And I know come on here about doing that. We're just going to continue with that. Hopefully, I'll get some of my mates that I was discussing with yesterday. Pacho, as usual, if you can hear me, just let me know. Light, sound, yeah, because I'm my own light man, own sound man, own everything. It's just let me know. Just give me a thumbs up, say something, and share the video. It's, we're going to continue today. As usual, we're just going to go on a quick rant, and then we continue with that. Say, my microphone back. Let me get my Facebook on. Now, let me make sure they're online. Until we're going to continue with that today, but to put it in perspective, this is a country that we're talking about. We're talking about a country. There are still students sitting on the floor, on the dusty floor, in a shed, not even good enough to store corn. Shed, no, it's not even good enough. So we need best a broke crowd. And then son of man, Onipaba. And funny enough, this video that I have on the screen, there's still video that I have on the screen. I'm gonna play it in a minute. I have on the screen happens to be from Eastern region, where most of the wealth of Ghana comes from. Baby, Ghana wealth in your free bano. I think most of the wealth come from Ashanti region and Western. But Western region, they give us oil, they give us gold, the timber, cocoa. Every farmer worth his salt. Our farm, our city. And these are the people. They've given everything they have to Ghana, and this is where their kids go to school at. And it's unfortunate. I heard the guy who did the video is in trouble now. I'm threatening them, and it's Ghana is changing, and I think the ruling class. I said it, Enra, the ruling class are so surprised as to how to deal with this new generation, because new generation, I think because of the social media, they listen to news fast, they understand things. Ghana is about 80% educated right now. It's hard to do something that you think you can get away with. It's not easy like that. And they are really having a serious problem. I'll play this video real quick, and then we start from there. This is just to get our blood boiling, and then and then we start from there. Oops. Hold on. Let me reshare it. Let me stop it. I think the sound, you might not be hearing the sound for sure. All right, let's take this again.
School corner, American one, P5 P6, P34 at a block so and a ACN. Aha, JHS 1, JHS 2, and the Ababe P. Now her KG1, KG2 for a more JHS 1 time every blocks here on Motiso, and ACN, and never school. I mean, I did almost 30 good years. I was a getting school.
So what he's saying is that this school is a 30-year-old school. So there's no excuse saying, oh, we haven't heard about it, we haven't seen it. The school is older than most people. The school is 30 years old. And it look as if throughout the 30 years lifespan of the school, nobody has attempted to do anything for the school. All right. Look at that.
JHS for no, I'm a fine, and I'm occupy JHS classroom. Classroom we are JHS, JHS 1, JHS, and I will sano. I will need decks. JHS 1 need decks.
What a drawing board. What a drawing board better than
and then Ghana, 62 plus. And then Ghana. JHS 4 at the blocks, JHS 4 and flower high here at the Biasi and the Suania. Namina, I am doing a JHS 4 pine and a Mababe PM. And the Ombe occupy JHS 4 classroom. Temporary JHS 4 BS square or some sign called Biasi. Menuka sends you a toe. And Kaya Busan JHS 4 and I can show you by and can fly a hint and a wetman. Since you only told the whole day, nature said, I dissuade the train and consult for the whole day. Ghana, Adena, young Casaya, who Abrosa. And never can you be a minister in the Bako School of the Tree? Can you be a MP in the Bako School of the Tree? President in my Empo School of Ghana. They have a fuck or call if you are Curtis so, and they are quite camera. Guys, for talk with this Canaba, your buyers see a dime papa one kind. They see a dime papa out Kumasi. But the young cocoa every year, a hot year. Your father said, Yaya Bonnie, Yaboma bro, Bonnie, Ben Pan and Palawi on my yet Ghana for. Now, Manu Busu Casa. Bonnie Ben and Palawi, I yet Ghana. Bonnie Ben on my own family of Cocoa for. On my menu of Cocoa for. Now, the more woman said, Ghana, your pioneer, and so your own sappy. And who did obviously join the medical doctor for your politics? Obviously, class with 4 for your politics. And already, one man and Palai Aye. Who is yet 30 good years? And you, and so her JHS class. I came before, just as former now, I want to blog, so blogs we can't say a fee, yet in a train to try and play to. And see, every blessed day, there was some I mean, a city and God was the TV. Class of like us, I am put to. I can find a good so and a actress here. Better than a flower and a media and the Siadi and what you know what in Christ must say. Sunai Taka did Tama, I complete the same salad with the same curriculum. The best Ramogana before. Babia Airport, who am a youth in the air break. Who am a near the say I want so a libre. Oh, we have been through Babino. You didn't know that's what I'm going to see the Muadi. That's when I think it's you. The airport airtime, a yard or so. The best I was at the video. Share my like it. No, be Pierre and said here, some of one for I move around. I'm a woman who brought MI. And I was school and I said to her, DA primary and theater. So you are getting so any pool. And I was very aggressive.
So this is the country we're talking about. So, say, if this is a country full of problems, and most of the problems just can be solved with just a little bit of money, some vigilance, and just some competent people. Simple. Simple. You need problem, Kesibia, that we don't have any serious problem. We have to invent anything to solve it. Most of our problems are just a little bit of money, good management, and somebody who really cares. So, and no, you here, but this is where we are. And now every day there's someone sitting on TV trying to explain why he has spent millions of dollars, and he cannot even point at anything that he used it for. We just wasting 150 million here, 175 million here, and I'm talking about dollars, 1 billion here, and nothing to show for. And it's just now at first it used to be the scandals used to come monthly, but at the moment every 3 days there's a new scandal. And if you saw the video that I put on yesterday, the video about the military recruitment, the army personnel recruitment. I mean, Jesus Christ. About 4,000 people plus. 4,000. I say about 5,000 people. All lining up. All lining up to, get a job. And according to the soldier that they interviewed, the guy in charge of the recruitment, he only wants less than 1,000 people. But every youth in town is lining up for this job. You're interviewing Crawford crowd. Some of them say it's not something that they really want, but there's no job, so they have to settle for it. And the army, the army is not something you settle for. You really have to like it before. You really have to like it. Oh, it has to be a passion to go for it, because and you're going to be handling a lot of human beings. It's it's pretty. What do I say? We are in die situations. It's let's start from where we ended yesterday. Nine plus. Ah, jeez. Give me a minute. People. Stay here till I'm done. Uh-oh, it's gonna be trouble. Okose trouble kakra. He just came from a little vacation, so I think he misses me a little bit. Until maybe 2 hours, and then I'll have the rest of the night with him. Yeah, I had to get rid of him. I'm lock him in the door. Yes, sir. He'll be popping in every time. So where were we? Yeah, so I'm gonna start the video, and then we're all going to listen to what this gentleman. I mean, I'm very surprised he's still at post. I think the news media, everybody's talking about it right now. So Enra, we did about 37 minutes of it. It's about an hour and 30 minutes. So we have about 40 minutes plus. Um, yeah, 40 minutes plus, maybe 50 minutes to go. It's let's let me start this thing going. Give me a minute. Let me share my screen. All right. Okay. Right. Let's take it from here and let me know if you can hear me and all that. All right.
This is a very intelligent question.
Let me go
And
back a little bit.
who are our lawyers? Because your mind. Colleagues, I shall remind this committee of the issues. The issue of whether or not a contract was signed. The issue of whether or not prior parliamentary approval was required. I strongly, especially for those of us who are lawyers on this committee, I strongly would make this appeal to us to focus on the issues so that we could have a fair conclusion on matters arising. Because if we are unable to achieve that, we run into trouble. I mean, I'm just putting this across as a reminder to all of us, specifically.
All right, let me give you a little background. So this gentleman, Honorary Minister of Health, Ghana. Now, during the COVID, no, being the minister in charge of health in Ghana, no, first of all, on the manage like all the big hospitals in Ghana, most of them, about 90% of them are owned by government. So they all report to him. Everything health. So he was in charge in first getting us vaccines, so that we can immunize almost every adult in Ghana. So since now, Yariano back Krumo from March up till and then on, he himself has not been able to procure any vaccines at all for us. The vaccines now in Ghana, I think, was AstraZeneca. It was a gift from AstraZeneca. Omu decided say they were going to give some of the vaccines to the poorest countries in the world because Tama Edroni ready now about market, all the rich countries like G8, so G8 and the other rich countries, European countries, and North American countries, everybody in the Asian countries, everybody had money and they were buying it. So Africa couldn't compete. Most of those medicine were given to the so-called big men. And Omunyo short. So Yakache honorable say, Sisi also paid Roman. And a year later, this year March, and I say South Russian for the I think that was the first vaccine. That was the first vaccine that actually came for this this COVID. Now Russia funded to our website. Say Edrono, you're selling it to everybody that wants it. And nobody should buy this medicine for more than $10 for a vaccine. No, I'm on ton more than $10. In Cotonou, baby, more than $10. And just come to them and just buy it. So from 2020 March, I started to spread, 1 year later, and this gentleman say, "Okope drone bi ato Ghana for na yesu yewu." Enti no, okọ market no, okọ market no wenya bi e baby. So what he did was that he went to the black market. The black market, Kululu for somebody who knows somebody that can get it for you. So he went to the black market and they found this guy called Sheikh Akwegrasen Matuku somewhere. That was the same guy behind the Amari. So Mati Amari issue now. It's he saw him and then he procured a Okachense or pay a drone. Now Sheikh a bit him the amount. No better than $19 a bottle. Mind you, I'd already told you that the Russians said the thing shouldn't be sold for more than $10. It's there was a Norwegian news agency that was doing an investigation about people procuring the Sputnik vaccine. And a publication at a tool on my website say Ghana for some people from the Ghana government and now black market our motor drone before for bear twice the price of the medicine. And Ghana for media they got hold of that and they started talking. And I confess something buy. Say Ghana for instead of say Russia direct Apakotono, pay middleman and a middleman charge almost the same price of the NTC says a drone I think it was more than that. It was $20-something. It's ordinary so and autumn. And I didn't send be brave by. So a boss I don't know. Your friend money about Parliament say how he went about buying the medicine. One Bobiaman, Parliament. If you are doing an international transaction, it has to go through Parliament. If we cabinet now call Parliament. It's one fat Parliament, I'm bibisa and I'll walk to a drone. Secondly, no crown, why crying this man? Because so if Parliament doesn't okay it, how can you even get the money? But still, the finance ministry was able to pay the money to him to go buy the medicine. A drone also up to now, the person that we saw at the black market has not been able to deliver the money, the vaccines into Siwakrim. So that's what the probe is about. To me and to us,
especially those of us who are lawyers, because the terms of reference, as given, as we read out to the minister ab initio, at the initial stage of the hearing, must be our guide, so that we can make progress. To me, whether or not A contacted B first or B contacted A first, the issue of a legal relationship is what is our mandate. I'm just giving this guide to all of us, generally.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, this is a very intelligent question, and I think that it falls squarely within our terms of reference. If you read the terms of reference, item 3, to determine whether the services of a middleman was procured in the transaction, and if so, the propriety of same having regard to the relevant laws. So it's apt, it's appropriate, and I don't think we should overrule this at all. Mr. Chairman, I will follow it up with my question. Mr. Minister, don't you think if there is any confusion in the system, as you have rightly indicated, you created it, because, Mr. Minister, if you refer to your press conference, press release, which of course you were talking to Ghanaians, you stated at paragraph 6 that you, government of Ghana, was responding to an offer. You were responding to an offer. Then when you come to Exhibit 1D, you say that you, the ministry was also responding to an offer from the sheikh. So in your press statement, you are saying that it is a sheikh that wrote to you and you are responding. And in the contract, you are saying the other way around. So could you clarify this confusion? I mean, these are two, so that we move from there.
Honorable Chair, I think I'm making the force to clarify the situation. Yes. We did initial contacts on telephone.
You see, Mr. Minister, with the greatest deal of respect, we are not privy to whatever conversation you had with them on telephone. On the face of the document you have provided this committee is what we are basing our questions on. And so your conversation with the sheikh, we are asking you questions with regards to your press statement and your agreement. Can you please reconcile the two?
You have allowed it for the time being. I've allowed the question for the time being. Let the minister.
Honorable Chair, I think I'm even getting the more confused.
Jesus Christ. You see, the question will be very simple. Well, he did a press conference. In a press conference, Oka said, what try Russian governments, he's not getting any response from them. That's the reason why Oko black market to go get it, because time wasn't on our side. Mind you, this is 1 year after COVID has hit. Or say time near side to Oko black market, because Russian government, on a Russian embassy, that's why Okoye. And now he's under oath. I'd say within trial, he can be jailed for that. He's under oath. Within trial, perjury. Oba hono bisa and say, how did they start? Or say, first of all, One Al Maktouk no ekasa on the 3rd. On the 9th, and on the sign agreement, so on for vaccine nemra. Near Bisan saying the time when on Russia for no Eko Kasai, or say on the 23rd. Obviously, Oshia Al Maktouk no any year deal. And Sana like 2 weeks later, and Sana Oko Bisa Russians was Ninsabeke Dronibia. So he was obviously lying at the press conference. So what I say. And this guy has been a member of parliament for about 5 times in a row. Until about 20 years, he's a member of parliament. I think he was the head of their one of the groups that goes through procurement or something like that. He's a big shot in parliament. So he knows all the rules. So he cannot deny say Onim rules. He's not a novice. So what I say. Now, let's go. Let's into question Ibio. Because question was plain, simple. So
We did initial contacts on telephone.
You see, Mr. Minister, with the greatest deal of respect, we are not privy to whatever conversation you had with them on telephone. On the face of the document you have provided this committee is what we are basing our questions on. And so your conversation with the the Sheikh, we are asking you questions with regards to your press statement and your agreement. Can you please reconcile the two?
You have allowed it for the time being. I've allowed the question for the time being. Let the minister.
Honorable Chair, I think I'm even getting them more confused.
Why are you getting confused? Almost in your kind of press conference, and in your case,
I think I'm even getting a little bit more confused.
what's the difference? I'll say also why you're confused. I'm thinking, who put him up for this, man?
I think, like I said initially, with the greatest respect, the use of certain words within the context of law and the use of certain words within the context of public communication have to be reconciled, and so that nobody questions your credibility or that we are also not left in doubt. But for the avoidance,
I mean, at this
my
point,
colleague has just drawn my attention
he has no
to
credibility.
two contentions. So I would take my time to read them aloud. You pay attention.
Welcome, Daniel. Are you ready to come on? Hello?
Yeah, Kwame.
Aha.
I'm sorry I can't be on mic today, but
All right. All right. So what we are doing is reacting to this probe. We started yesterday,
yeah, but what has been cancelled, right?
Excuse me. Oh yeah, it has. It has been by the seller. The seller canceled it.
The seller canceled the contract because what, they couldn't deliver.
Yeah, because he couldn't deliver.
All right.
He couldn't deliver.
So we didn't. It's not as if we paid him money and then.
We're still going to pay him some money because he delivered about 15,000 at the early stages. Oh, okay. So let's continue.
And just reconcile. Is that okay? Are you fine by that?
Yes.
Very well. So his first contention is that paragraph D, page 1 of the contract of Exhibit MOH1. The contract provides the buyer approached the seller to sell and supply vaccine to the buyer, and the seller is willing to sell and supply the vaccine to the buyer, subject to the following terms. So that is his contention. He, however, says that in your press statement to the public, you had said, among other things, quote, paragraph 6, against the background of non-response from direct channels and global shortages of the vaccine, the Ministry of Health on 9th March 2021 responded to an offer from the private office of Maktoum for the supply of total quantity of 3.4 million doses of Sputnik vaccines at a unit cost of $19. So now, he is interested in the ministry responded to an offer from an entity. Now, at this hearing, the private office of Dalmouk Al Maktoum has been established as a legal entity for the records. So he wants you to clarify or reconcile what you meant by responded to an offer from this, and the statement that in paragraph D, that the buyer approached the seller. So this is all. I believe it.
Honorable Chair, how different are these two statements from these two documents? The buyer approaches, the ministry responds to an offer. So the offer the buyer gave, can that not be interpreted to mean an approach? Yes.
If that is how you understand it and that's your answer, we'll proceed from there. You can go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I thought that we needed to be fair to the witness, especially when it was coming from my legal friend. There could be an offer to buy, there could be an offer to sell. Yes, so if it was coming from
Mr. Chairman,
you, I would have allowed that.
No, Mr. Chairman,
But
Mr. Chairman,
as a lawyer,
if I don't know whether
do I have the
you are a
right?
counsel for the witness or you are a member of the committee, with the greatest deal of respect, we've moved on from there. Why then do you have to go and bring this issue again? With the greatest deal of respect.
I thought, Mr. Chairman, that we were not being fair to the witness. And that's why I wanted.
Who is that? What what's being fair to the witness? This guy has nearly put 30 million Ghanaians in danger. All right? Vaccine. He didn't even know. Like, if you listen to yesterday, when they asked him whether he knew what this campaign was about, he didn't even know what the campaign was about. If you go to the website of that H.H. Sheikh, or say H.H. Max, that company, they deal with oil and gas. Or say you didn't know about them, they approached you. Now, when you came here and you put you under oath, or say, well, and our approaching. So which is which? I don't know. So you're confused about it. This is a very simple. I mean, if he was telling the truth, that's what I think. And can this wouldn't confuse him. So he's obviously confused because, he's told a lie, and now they've put him under oath, and now he cannot lie and everything he's saying is is verifiable. They can verify it. And he's been cautious, but because of the first lie, he's just, oh, Jesus Christ.
To intervene because, and I wanted Mr. Chair to probably give the clarification because there is, to me, I'm not answering for him, but to me, there seems no contradiction here.
What do you mean there's no contradiction here?
There could be an offer to buy, there could be an offer.
What is there could be? The man is sitting there. What is it? Did you go look for this person? Or did the person come look for you? I did. I went out and looked for the person. No, I was there and the person came out to look for me. So what's the confusion? Why? Jesus Christ.
To sell. So let's explain it to the witness, and then the witness can give an answer.
Honorable colleagues.
What come Nana?
Yeah, Kwame, thank you. I had some technical issues. I just reconnected.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's good you're here. I nearly got a heart attack.
Don't freak out.
I've said, and at the risk of being repetitive.
So ask me to pause it anytime you want,
and
then we can discuss it.
The 4 lawyers I can spot on this committee, including Afenyo Makin. You see, we have standard contracts in our offices. That's when we are assigned to execute. We get in for parties to execute. We know that. And then whatever had happened between the parties, whether who approached who or what, we know how we draft this contract. These are matters that would come up for our discussion when we are this. So we have to move on because the minister is not a lawyer. Obviously, these are standard contract terms that they've executed. We shouldn't bother him too much. But for us as lawyers, we know what goes into the contract. And if we get to where we have to discuss these matters, I think that the concerns of anybody would be rightly captured in our report. So let's make progress. Let's make progress.
Mr. Chairman, I agree that we should actually make progress. But in doing all this, in doing the interjections, in putting up the defenses, we should know that if a witness is answering a question and the person questioning, we need to take into consideration the credibility of the witness based on the answers being given. Now, if the witness before us today,
But not on the point of law.
excuse
Bernard,
me,
hold on.
I'm not talking of point of law,
Hold on, Bernard.
has given an answer,
Bernard,
and the
excuse me,
answer that
I'm
he has
giving you
given
the floor. I'm giving
contradicted
cannot move on.
the previous statement that he has made. If a reference is made to that previous statement, I do not think we are being unfair to that witness.
Honorable colleagues, we cannot, let me state for the record.
I think I understand where Afenyo Markin is coming from. The chairman is coming from. He wants them to move from there. The man is obviously, he's obviously been outed because I'll say right now he's telling the truth because he's under oath. But his press conference, he obviously lied. And if we sit here and try to embarrass him more and more on the same topic, we'll be going nowhere. So at this point, I think the chairman is doing well. Let's move forward from here. Obviously, this man, they went to the black market before they even approached the Russians. That is clear now. After 30 minutes, he said that is clear. That's why he did. So at the press conference, he lied. Period. You're moving on.
I didn't get you listening to the entire piece, but I'll take what you're saying as what it is. In that regard, I don't know. I didn't even know there was a probe going on. So this is news to me, but it's good. It's well and good that these matters have come up and the appropriate courts are looking into it.
Yeah.
So I think that is how a democracy have to work, right? People have to be accountable for the office that they hold. There should be nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
I mean, you can make a very wise mistake that sometimes people can understand, will not even blame you for it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you make a very intentional mistake to profit from it, then that is what the public are not unreasonable. They can compare and know whether you meant well or you meant bad. There are reasonable people who can see through that. So as far as I'm concerned, you see, we all have to be each other's keeper. That is how we can grow our country and make it better for everybody. It's a good exercise, and I think that I'm very much in supportive of it, especially people who hold public office. We must not be lowering the standard. The standard has to be high and high each time.
Oh yeah,
and that is what we all need to be, mindful of. So yeah, you can walk me through the details of the issues. I haven't followed this issue, and this is really having news to me. I didn't know there was a probe going on because.
Every Ghanaian is tuning. This is what is going on right now, because he did a press conference before the probe.
Where I know that was some long time ago, right?
Yeah, that's where all his problems are coming from, because they keep on referring him to his press conference. So it's the same. As a minister, you cannot just do ad hoc press conferences. Make sure you have your facts right, because when they call you for stuff like this, they will take you back to things you've already said. So, and I feel bad for him sometimes, but I mean, this what he did was pretty dangerous to the interest.
And with emphasis, we cannot use point of law or legality to determine.
Let's get past this.
It appears they have said clear intention.
And we are also not going to second guess anybody. I will not sit here and say that I'm a lawyer, I know buyer and seller, and the witness doesn't know. I was not questioning him on matter of law, even though it's emanating from law. Mr. Ayuba Senior was not here. He would have known that the witness had already stated.
But you have the floor. Please proceed. No, Elizabeth.
So that you know that.
I need to charge my camera a little bit.
Honorable Minister, if you look at your Exhibit 4, the meeting, the initial meeting with the Sheikh group was on the 3rd of March. And Exhibit 1, the contract, was signed on 9th of March. I am suggesting to you that if you were minded to contact or consult the Attorney General, you could have done so between the period of 3rd and 9th of March.
Honorable Chair, I think I've explained that we didn't conclude the negotiations on the 3rd of March. We continued engaging and taking some clauses of the agreement, and we haven't actually concluded and finished. So the time in between, when the contract has not actually been concluded, I couldn't have taken anything to the Attorney General's office.
I further suggest to you that the Attorney General could have even been part of this negotiation.
Obviously.
I wouldn't agree with you the more.
Why?
He's saying he agrees. That's what he's saying. That's what it means.
Oh.
And so, in your
That's British.
haste to get vaccines,
Or the more source in a confusing.
you are able to keep Ghanaian at a much bigger risk, and I will show you why. Have a look at your Exhibit 1, specifically 7.3.
So who triggered this probe?
I don't know, but it was a matter of public concern, and like almost every media.
Yeah, I think I like this kind of.
Yeah. Wouldn't you have loved it if that interministerial?
You know, this is the problem. I've been having problem with my Ghanaian parliamentarians. I'm like, why is it that when an issue come up, we should be having more of these things? Like here, Congress. You see how when an issue come up, they will summon people to come and answer in the public place. That thing, you don't underestimate the value of that. It's a big accountability process that keeps everybody in check in our society. And our parliament needs to be doing more of that.
Right.
We need
I don't know.
more of
I
that.
think
Yeah.
most of these things, I think Okujato Ablakwa and another young MPP parliamentarian, they are the guys that would normally be asking for these probes.
Yeah,
And sometimes to the executive will just ask if that will be done.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you have loved it if that the one that happened in Edra, I would have wished it would have gone to Parliament for them to discuss it over there, because this seems more potent to me than the one they're doing over there.
Well, but remember, Parliament too and this is the reason sometimes we have to understand our history. Parliament in itself too sometimes have messed up when these things have come to them, right? So that is why sometimes we don't need to be too hard on the institution. With time, Parliament is refining itself and learning through the ropes and seeing that if you don't do these things right, the public is watching. You get what I'm trying to say?
Right.
So today you are comfortable with Parliament because they have gone through these lapses and they've refined themselves, and today they seems to be showing a polished face when it comes to, you know.
I wouldn't give it to Parliament. I think it's the citizens, because like the modern Ghanaian is very inquisitive. He knows a lot thanks to social media. Whatever is happening anywhere, they get it right on time. And they make noises. So I think when the pressure was coming on, every YouTuber was talking about it. Every media was talking about it. Parliament found it prudent to do this.
Yeah,
and I think we should keep the pressure on them all the time to let them, force them, to shape them to do things like this.
Yeah, it's just the what do you call it? The quickness of it, you know, because sometimes the way this bureaucratic system works, you can fast something and it will take 1 week for it to go through the normal. You get what I'm trying to say? It
I
doesn't.
do.
In social media, we are more reactive, right? Real time. We react real time to stuff.
To
But
stuff, yeah.
institutions don't have that same laxity sometimes to react real time because of these bureaucratic, like, what do you call it, processes that they have to, overcome to be able to, get something going. So if we understand those, then we always know that this institution will lag behind. They will lag, right? Whenever there are issues, we would have discussed and gone, and then they will come back later. It will take them a month or two, depend on how efficient the institutional arrangement is that allows for this thing to come to the fore, for them to be able to, like, put up a show like this. So, I mean, understanding that helps to also. And I'm having issues. Did I? I think I'm
Yeah,
having.
you're loud and clear. We can still
All
hear
right.
you.
So those are some of the things I think here we'll have to just be mindful of. But regardless, I think, and also let's comment. You see, let's not be too partisan about these things. Like, I like, if it's true that this person is an MPP person, is an MPP minister. But if you're an MPP person on that committee, prove yourself. Don't excuse me to say, lower the bar to satisfy, I mean, a lower standard. If you do that, you don't help all of us, because
Yeah.
we are not in politics to lower standards.
No,
We should be
no.
in politics to raise standards. So we'll be helping people who are not seeing this where we want to be helping them raise their standards. You get what I'm trying to say? So that is the other thing we need to encourage political parties, that don't be too partisan about these things. Come into these things with more professional, more, what do you call it, matured, and raise the bar, so that you set expectation across the political divide. Then each person know that I'm not going to have it a pass when I get to this committee.
No, no, yeah.
Once I'm there, it's going to be fireworks. It's going to be real hard work. And once people have that expectation set up for them, whenever they are doing anything, they will be mindful about the general public and the institutional arrangement that we have that puts them in check. And I think that is the kind of politics I want to see. Not because you belong to MPP and the person comes and then you just give him a pass. And then you don't set
be shielding him.
Right, you don't set right expectations, because we are human beings. If you don't set right expectations,
I mean, it's not just the MPP parliamentarians, it's all of them. I mean, if you watch the vetting, some of them were like, you'll be sitting there like, this guy should not get anywhere near the ministries. And both parties, because they're friends, they know each other. When they come there, they'll just be trying to spoon feed them and just cuddle them all the way up to them and make them ministers. And then they start committing blunders like this that affects everybody. Let's carry on and see.
Yeah.
And with your kind permission, Honorable Chair, I read. For the avoidance of doubt, the parties acknowledge and agree that the seller is a distributor of the vaccine and is not a manufacturer, and none of the seller or any of its connected persons shall be subject to any liability under this agreement, or otherwise for any loss suffered by or to the buyer or any person whatsoever, including patients and their relatives, resulting from the use of the vaccine, including liability for any claims that may be made against the seller by any third persons for the purposes of this agreement. Honorable Minister, so the vaccines that the Sheikh applied to, in the likely event that it creates any problem for any Ghanaian, because this is the first time we are going to use it, the supplier, hearing the Sheikh, is not liable, we will not be indemnified. I'm putting it to you that you are putting us at a much bigger risk.
But I mean, so Kwame, I can't hear you. I think just on this question, Kwame, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, just on this question that this person asked. It's a good question, but in the context of what the alternative, if the actual supplier, the actual manufacturer was supplying us, you think that this particular caveat or disclaimer would not have been part of the sales agreement? Because
I mean, we don't know now because we didn't go to the actual supplier.
no, but I'm saying that in standard business contract, if you were supplying a product that is new like this, a vaccine, they'll usually put in those disclaimers. That is, I mean, standard contract. But let me listen to the minister's response and let me see what it says about that.
The liability will have gone on to the manufacturer, and the Sheikh had the manufacturer's agency to distribute, and he, the manufacturer, will take the liability.
Honorable Minister, I can only rely on the documents you have given to me, including that of the Attorney General. And so again, with the permission of the chair, I refer you to page 6 of Exhibit 9, and I read what the Attorney General says. Paragraph 2, the distributor indicates that it is not an agent of the manufacturer and therefore will not be liable for any losses under this agreement suffered by the buyer or any person whatsoever. This implies that the distributor will not be liable to any extent in the case of an adverse effect. It is therefore suggested that it will be more prudent for the ministry to engage directly with the manufacturer, who can be held liable in case of adverse effect for the procurement of the next batch.
Well, I think this is a brilliant question. I think we should have more of this lady on panels like this.
Who is the lady speaking? Is she a lawyer? She seems to be.
I don't know. She sounds like a lawyer, doesn't she?
Very pointed questions, and she seems to have been prepared for it, read the material, and I think that is what the attitude you need to come into this thing. You need to be prepared, and you need to come showing that yes, you mean business and you're asking the right questions.
It's a brilliant question, and I think yesterday most of my panelists, that was their problem. The problem was that this guy, Honorable, didn't. When they asked him whether he knew about the company he was dealing, the third party he was dealing with, he said he had no clue about them. So everyone was saying, so what if he brings you some vaccines that are not from where he says they are from, and then everybody start getting sick? Who do you blame? You know, and this is, I mean, the lady has lawyered it up and made it a more pointed and straightforward question. And, you know, the answer he gave it looks like he didn't even read his own document, because he was saying the manufacturer and the third party are going to be responsible for it. But it clearly said in the contract that the third party told you, I'm not an agent for this manufacturer, so I have nothing to do with it. If you have your problem, that's your problem. You know, and this vaccine was supposed to be for every adult in Ghana. I don't know, man. I don't see why this guy.
So yes, let's look at it in two ways. There is the risk materializing, that the risk that this vaccine could have been fake materializing. It's the point here. Mm-hmm. But on the face of it, so there are two things, right? Mm-hmm. You do your risk assessment, and then you find out that this is a risk that we should have covered in the contract, right? Mm-hmm. We are not saying it should happen, but anything can go wrong, right?
Yeah.
So from a very, prudent risk perspective, your contract should be covering your backs for these things. If you think that it's an emergency and you are balancing the risk, and you think that, hey, this guy, it's reliable, you've done your due diligence, for you to engage a black market, I asked the question, when you go into a black market, do you get some of these things, easily, in contracts when you go into a black market situation? So,
No. The black market is more of a wild west. I mean,
so,
why?
so the question is, what's this is a black market transaction. Is there any surprise that these things will not be captured in the contract? But I'm surprised. It's still a black market and there was a contract, right? So if there was a contract, maybe you just take advantage and then insert it. If it's a black market and there's still a contract, why don't you put them in there? I thought black market this was not a contract. It was just by mouth. You discuss with somebody, hey, supply me.
I mean, you cannot do an international transaction like that without a contract. But I mean, yesterday we found out that the ministries approached the black market first before they approached Russia, contradicting his press conference that he was following up with the embassy and the Minister of Health of Russia, and then he wasn't getting any answers, and then he found out that time wasn't on his side and he went to the black market. Contrary to yesterday, we found out that no, he met the third party guy on the 3rd of March, signed a contract on the 9th of March, and then when the heat started coming up, he tried to make contact with Russia on the 23rd.
I see. So the timelines clearly exposes that.
Exposes him, and the guys, the parliamentarians who were asking the questions yesterday was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And let's see what this lady does to this, because the lady seems to be. I think we need more of her on every panel.
Honorable Minister, the Attorney General is even corroborating the issue of liability. In this contract, we don't see any clause that the manufacturer will indemnify us.
Wow.
Honorable Chair, the indemnity issue is actually captured in the FDA approval of the vaccine to be utilized in country. The FDA places that liability on the manufacturer during the approval regime. So we have that thing actually captured in FDA's, how do I call it, emergency use authorization. And that is what we relied on to get this thing so far.
Nana, is that possible?
Yeah, like I told you, as far as I know, when you're doing a vaccine, right?
Mm-hmm.
A vaccine, especially in the nature in which we had it, there's only some insurance back end because it's new. Then we are going to try it. Nobody knows. FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, whoever is approving the drugs. That is why it takes a long time for them to approve these things, right? Because they have to do that due diligence and stuff. And if there's anything, they make the companies be prepared to compensate for whatever harm it might cause for them. And that is why here, if you realize Johnson & Johnson and all the other big companies, when their vaccine started having like some issues with blood clotting and stuff, the companies themselves were interested because they know that if they don't take proactive measures to make sure that, hey, these things are resolved, it could lead into some other, bigger liability issues for them. That is a standard. That is just a standard manufacturing thing, right? For any fashion product and stuff or medication of this nature. But for a black market, I doubt if you get those same like.
Yeah, see, this is the question I'm trying to ask. I think Obaya asked. Obaya has rephrased it even better. It's like, how does the FDA approval cover indemnity for a product you did not get from the vaccine, from the manufacturer? I think
that is only Obaya is assuming that the manufacturer probably has it in the whatever. Indemnity provision that if you do not get this from us, then it doesn't cover you. If that is the specific language that the manufacturer has, then this thing will expose you. In this case, it doesn't cover you. So it depends on what the indemnity provisions says and to what extent they will cover.
But indemnity has to be on the original contract, right? I mean,
no. You can look at it two ways. You are looking at it from the contract perspective. Somebody can also look at it from the original product. If the original product, if it was your product, it doesn't matter how we got it, right? and if we got it through someone, it's still your product, and there've not been any contamination, any of those other things. It all depends. You are looking at it from the contract side. That is one dimension. How about if the product indeed came from the manufacturer, but we didn't get it from him directly? So the specifics it is the contract that will determine the specifics, and the indemnity or whatever the manufacturer's indemnity clauses are, that will define what these specific gray areas are.
Well, let's see.
And it is so for all the vaccines that we have procured so far. Either grant from COVAX or OMSP, the distributors have let us signed a non-liability agreement on them. And therefore, they have placed the liability on the manufacturers before they approve the vaccine. And that is how come FDA is not approving some vaccines that they feel will not be good for use in our country.
Honorable, I think before we started, you requested that we swear in your other officials you came with, so that that's what we do. Public account, all officials that come, all the hearings, we do that together. So, clerk, please.
I think the chairman was trying to give me a briefer. The chairman has to step in because it's getting too hot.
It has to be hot to get better, right?
Yeah. And this is what you were talking about earlier on, like when they tried to shield. I mean, the lady had just started. Why do you want to just abrogate and swear people in?
That's part of the
Jesus
part of the craft in this business, right?
I mean, our friend Markin is very cunning. Very, very cunning.
Part of the craft in this business. Being a minister. Working for the public, it's not the same as working for yourself.
Jesus Christ.
You can officially be on record, and where he has to yield to them, he does so.
I gotta change my camera for a little bit. Yeah, he just saved the minister right there. This is unbelievable, man. Thank God you're seeing it live.
Yeah, Obaya is making some point that yes, I mean, since with all due respect, the manufacturer is not going to warrant their product purchased from a third party on the black market. But you see, this is the question that I asked the other day: how did whoever was in that black market, how did they get it from the manufacturer? They just got it from the manufacturer without, some indemnity and clauses that somebody will just go to a manufacturer and buy stuff, and knowing that he's not covered. I think even those in the black market who wants the medication and goes to buy the vaccines from the manufacturer knows about this standard clause or provisions that comes with such purchases. Just that they wouldn't want to, once they have it, they wouldn't want to transfer that to anybody. Because the liability, the extent of the liability that could come, they cannot quantify, right? So usually everybody will want to put the final, or what do you call it, responsibility on the manufacturer.
But don't you think going through a third party even makes it worse, even if there's a loophole that you can use?
Oh, it makes it worse because at that point you have to deal with the manufacturer through that third party. So the process becomes longer, right? It's not a direct thing. So whatever method of supply chain you use will come with it some of this constraint. And I think that is typically a problem with dealing with third parties or black market, because it becomes difficult.
And the Sheikh was smart. He put in his contract that he's not an agent of the manufacturer. So
exactly.
He doesn't have anything to do with it.
He's isolating himself, yes, because he knows that there could be the traceback effect. He doesn't know where that could end. So, like I'm saying, people who deal in the black market, they are not dumb people. They are very smart people. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So
and this Al Maktoum was the guy behind the Amari deal, the one that most Ghanaians we had a lot of problems with. He's the same guy.
Was the Amedi? It came from Turkey, right? Is this guy?
He came from Turkey. This guy was the middleman.
Oh, I see. So that is his job. So he knows what he's doing. He's not a dumb guy.
No, normally he deals in energy, oil and gas.
All right.
But he's not a dumb guy. I mean, he's been a third party for a lot of things around Asia and West Africa. Yeah. And I'm sure he has some friends in both parties. So they use him.
Right.
Oh, well, why is Afenyo Markin wasting our time?
Just move on. Just move on with the other sections. And I mean, are they coming to answer to some of the questions? Maybe yes. I don't know.
He supplies us.
Oh, let me see. I like this lady. I wanna.
All of you should just fill the space around the minister.
That causes the sheikh says he's not an agent of the manufacturer.
Okay, there we go.
The event that he supplies us with a vaccine that causes harm to us, and the manufacturer says it was not sourced from him or from it, what will be the liability of the sheikh?
None.
The manufacturer couldn't, in any circumstance, have said they wouldn't have supplied the vaccines to the sheikh. I will want to refer this to the lawyer in the ministry.
You see where I'm coming from? Legal liability. Where does it fall? So, yeah, but what the minister forgets is that the manufacturer would have gotten that, the third party would have gotten that from the manufacturer, but he wouldn't have transferred that right to you.
Right.
So that is why your lawyer needs to be smart.
Counsel, you may proceed.
Let me hear the lawyer.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Respectfully, we were.
Oh, he came in regalia.
Let's listen to him. What does he say?
Now we took cognizance of the fact that.
Let me start from.
Counsel, you may proceed.
Oops.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Respectfully, we were operating within a situation, as my minister explained, of emergency. Now we took cognizance of the fact that liability lies with whoever commits the act. We also know that we have a liability law in this country, which states categorically that anybody who commits negligence, gross negligence, will to that extent respond accordingly. So even as we were seeking the advice of the Attorney General, we knew that the manufacturer, in terms of relationship with the supplier, has their relationships to come into. Now, where the supplier brings the product to us, he assumes responsibility to the extent that he carries the product from the manufacturer to the buyer. And the manufacturer, having manufactured the product, has responsibility for what is in the product. As my minister said, FDA, in providing emergency approvals, take note of the fact that any product that is approved under emergency has inherent
risk.
So we entered into this agreement knowing very well that in the event that there was any injury, that injury will be determined as to who contributed to that injury, and the liability will lie in accordance with the laws of this country. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Honorable Minister, you see, in the AG's advice, reference is made to the seller not being an agent. If you look at the paragraph 7.3, page 5, the seller is referred to as the distributor. No use of, I've gone through the contract. I haven't cited the use of agent anywhere. It has been so described as a distributor, a seller who is referred to as a distributor.
But if the seller is an agent, then that brings an agent-principal relationship. But if it's a distributor, that makes it worse, right?
So I just want
Say again.
I'm saying that I'm trying to understand Afenyo's Marking's question. If the seller is regarded in the contract as an agent, then it makes it a little bit, it lessens the concern, the risk, because if it's an agent, then the principal agent relationship will kick in, right?
Yeah,
but
but
if he's just a distributor and it's not an agent, then that makes our risk much more higher. It's heightening our risk, right?
yeah, in the contract between the MOH and Sheikh and the third party, he made it clear that he's not an agent of the manufacturer.
So yeah, so if you say if it's not an agent, then that heightens the risk concerns, because
Exactly.
if it's an agent, we can rely on the agent principle, like dogma or whatever standard to exert whatever.
He made it categorically clear that he's not.
All right, let me hear what the minister says in the contract. But then, how did they treat that relationship? If she says a distributor, what is the relationship then becomes of that risk?
Find out from you whether you have had the cause to reconcile this with the AG, because the AG describes the seller as not being an agent, but in the contract itself, no such reference is made as to agency. It is referred to as a distributor. Is it one and the same?
Honorable, the lawyer will answer this. Thank you, Honorable Chair. As you stated earlier, as I stepped out, I think there are matters of law and matters of fact. Now, in terms of agency, the law determines who is an agent in terms of principal-agent relationship. Now, in respect of a contract, which is between two parties, a distributor is the person who picks a product from a manufacturer and brings it to the buyer, and it continues to the consumer. So there are relationships that are determined in terms of the product moving, and there are relationships that are determined under the law. So our respected view in terms of agency is that for as long as the distributor picks it from the manufacturer and brings it to us, there's a principal agent relationship. So in that context, we operated. Most grateful.
Honorable Chair, with the indulgence, let me just add a little bit. The FDA emergency use authorization puts responsibility on the FDA to actually vet all vaccines that had been imported into the country and relate it to the manufacturers' numbers that they have access to. They will not release these vaccines for use anywhere in the country. So relied in the comfort of FDA's responsibility of having a proof for use that they will check before they release for our use. If it wasn't coming from the manufacturer, we won't have access in our places to actually use to vaccinate anybody. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Let me do FDA. Honorable Minister, let's have a quick look at Exhibit 9 again. Paragraph 3. In order to avoid misquoting the learned Attorney General, let me read his words with the permission of the Chair. We further note that the agreement is silent on whether or not the Food and Drugs Authority, FDA, has certified and approved these vaccines for use. We note from our research that it's the FDA's mandate to regulate the manufacture, distribution, importation, exportation, use, and advertisement of all health-related consumables in the country. it is suggested that the parties collaborate with the FDA for the necessary certification and approval for the safety of these vaccines. And if these approvals have been obtained already, they must be attached to the agreement. So point one, there is no evidence of FDA, as the Attorney General has indicated. And when you are sending us the document, Attorney General asked you that if you have any attached to the contract, I suggest to you that you have not attached any dealings with the FDA, so I'll be right in concluding that the FDA has been neglected in this process.
Wow.
I will say yes.
Wow. I mean, this is profound. We've spent about 50 minutes listening to how the FDA has some kind of spiritual guarantee to this thing, and the first question that came from the lady, you say yes, they totally ignore the FDA. Oh, I can hear you.
Educate me here. Did I hear him say there was such a process that the FDA had, but he, in executing it, failed to attach that whatever caveat that the FDA was requiring of them to do?
Yeah.
I want to understand the level, or that there was nothing like that at all from the FDA to begin with.
Let's take the question. I think they totally ignored the FDA.
If you say ignore in what sense? That there was something.
Say they did not involve them in it.
Then that would be that. So if they did not involve them, then why will you be making reference to the FDA all this while? Let's
listen to the question again.
Yeah.
Use and advertisement of all health-related consumables in the country. It is suggested that the parties collaborate with the FDA for the necessary certification and approval.
Cases you actually use to vaccinate anybody.
Is silent on whether or not the food and drug.
Let me see.
Honorable Minister, let's have a quick look at Exhibit 9 again. Paragraph 3. In order to avoid misquoting the learned Attorney General, let me read his words with the permission of the chair. We further note that the agreement is silent on whether or not the Food and Drugs Authority, FDA, has certified and approved these vaccines for use. We note from our research that it's the FDA's mandate to regulate the manufacture, distribution, importation, exportation, use, and advertisement of all health-related consumables in the country. It is suggested that the parties collaborate with the FDA for the necessary certification and approval for the safety of these vaccines. And if these approvals have been obtained already, they must be attached to the agreement. So point one, there is no evidence of FDA, as the Attorney General has indicated. And when you are sending us the document, Attorney General asked you that if you have any attached to the contract, I suggest to you that you have not attached any dealings with the FDA, so I'll be right in concluding that the FDA has been neglected in this process. Honorable Minister.
I will say yes.
Jesus.
Right. So you see where it's coming from. The FDA has a process. They have a standard. They have a way of doing these things. And then it's your responsibility as a minister to avert yourself to those processes and make sure you satisfy those processes. So the FDA safety requirements are there. They have it already there. It's not as if they don't have it. From what I understand from this question, he did not go through that process fully. So he bypassed them in a certain, even though the FDA has this safety requirement for us, he never used that route to begin with. And that is negligence, right? Right there.
Yeah, it's neglect. At this moment, I'm feeling there's a bit of criminality involved. Yeah,
because you've been telling us all this while. It means that you are aware about these processes. So
he knows the process.
Or you only knew this process after the fact. I mean,
no, I mean this gentleman has been in parliament. He's a parliamentarian like 5 consecutive times. So 20 years in parliament. I think he was chair of their community for public procurement or something like that. So he knows these things.
Come on. Then you should be doing right towards better than what we are hearing. You know, because why do people go into public office? You go into public office with all this experience, with all these learnings that you've acquired over the period, with the hope that you come and help us avoid the mistakes of the past. But if you go into public service with all this length of period of time, and you still cannot, I mean, you take public office and you still cannot give us some, you know, appreciable standard that differentiate you from a novice that has come into that role, then what learning took place all this while when you were there? I mean, and how did we benefit from all the investment we made in you? I mean, I think we should be we should be a little bit serious about ourselves and respect, you know, our people in a certain way, you know.
Oh, I mean, at this time, I'm just flabbergasted. I don't. Jesus Christ. See, somebody asked the question. Somebody made a comment yesterday that he feels like somebody put him up to this. He wasn't even part of the deal. He didn't know anything about it, and now he's taking the fall for it. And it's looking like that.
Well, we've drawn my attention to something. So it's like somebody just push him through it and he started. Well, but that I don't care at this point. You are the responsible officer, right?
Exactly.
You make the final call. If you allow yourself to be put in that situation, you have to bear the brunt. I don't care. I don't even want to listen to that part because it doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, the bad stuff at your desk, period. Period. I agree with you, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Mr. Minister.
And this is why, let me also make a point. This is why some of this probe is important, right? So that people who intend in the future want to use the same approach or means, if what you're telling me is correct, we can reference them to this point and say, hey, if there's a problem, I'll be the one to go and sit in that committee to answer. You saw what happened the other time, right? So you see, you need for such people, when they are thinking about even talking you through this process, this things like this will make them put brakes or some wheels in their, you know, spokes in their wheels to be mindful, and it will more or less like shaking them a little bit. But if we don't have such things going on, people feel that, oh, when we do this, nobody will see. Let's get through it and move on. You know what I'm trying to say?
Oh, yeah.
So that is why I believe this particular thing adds a lot of value to our accountability process, and then, you know, public officials being mindful and not being used as surrogates for somebody's, you know, ill motives and stuff. But I'm enjoying the questioning. And that lady, I don't know what is the name of the lady. I think that
we should find out. She's doing a great job.
Yeah, she's
very
asking some brilliant questions. And that's the kind of people you need, you know.
I mean, so he took us through the path of FDA all along, and then later he tells us, you know what, I didn't even involve them.
Yes. And I'm surprised. So you had the advice from the Attorney General. The Attorney General gave you good advice, sound advice, and you just ignore that, you know.
And you remember Afenyo Martin telling him that, you know what, you should have made Attorney General part of this deal. You should have been part of it. You needed a lawyer on it. And that makes me believe that there might be some criminal thing to this, because if he knows all this, and he's very, very, I mean, he's got good knowledge about these things. The way he explained the FDA thing, he knows a lot. And for him to ignore all those things and just go straight to a third party, I mean, let's see. I mean, this guy shouldn't be minister. Period. Period.
Mr. Minister, you kept mentioning emergency use authorization, EUA. Do you know whether or not any government institution or body applied for the EUA and same was granted?
Yes, I do.
Which government institution is that?
Maybe no, I don't know of any government institution.
You just said yes. I do.
FDA to do this.
Let me repeat the question. Can I repeat the question? I am saying that, do you know whether or not any government institution or state institution applied for the EUA and same was granted with regard to Sputnik V vaccines in Ghana? EUA is emergency use authorization for Sputnik V.
A government agency, I would say no.
Who holds the EUA in Ghana for Sputnik V? Who? Which company?
I know of Cedar Point, but FDA served notice to us that Sputnik V has actually been approved for use in Ghana. And when they issue that one to whoever it is, it becomes the document for whoever you are dealing with from that point.
Mr. Minister, we'll take it one after the other, so you relax. Can you tell this committee the relationship between the company that holds the EUA and the Sheikh?
Yes, he did. He said yes. And then
private office of the Sheikh.
I wouldn't know that relationship.
Mr. Minister, don't you think it is your responsibility, before even signing a contract, to know the relationship between the one who holds the emergency use authorization and your language distributor?
I don't think so.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for giving me the opportunity. Honorable Minister, can you tell this committee and Ghanaian for that matter what exactly the Office of the Attorney General is supposed to advise you on?
Now, Chair, with your indulgence, can I ask you?
Obaya, you're welcome.
Thank you. I think maybe we need to give him water because I don't think the questions are processing.
It's not.
You just said that your whole entire defense for not having an indemnity clause on a third party, on a black market vaccine, is that the FDA has an EUA. This has been your whole defense. This is what I've listened to the last hour as I was in my hearing.
Right.
Now you're telling me that you don't even know if the shape you used had. I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't know whether you missed it, but when they asked him, did you involve the FDA in the process? He said no. So the route he took us through.
Hold up. He said no to involving the people who have the emergency use authorization.
He said no.
Kwame, my brother. Okay.
So after the whole lecture about how the FDA can have loopholes to circumvent the whole thing, they asked him a direct question. So did you? He said no.
Okay.
Jesus. Yes, Christo.
Oh, where is Nyako? Because maybe he can make this make sense to me. Because now the thing has over me. So your entire defense is the FDA. However, you forgot to take the state's lawyer to finish a contract, which there can't be a contract without an attorney. And who best to finish a state contract than the state attorney general? And Yemfa and Nokrensin, you also did not involve the agencies whose research you're using to back endangering 30 million Ghanaian adults?
Apparently, that's what went on because they asked him, "Did you think if you had had the help from the Attorney General that was going to make it better?" He said yes. They asked him, "Did you involve him?" He said no. And then he took us through the whole route of how FDA can circumvent the whole thing. And then we asked him, "Did you involve the FDA?" He said no. So I think somebody actually, that's how I feel. Somebody actually took the time trying to avoid all these agencies.
That's literally how it looks right now. Is now it's no longer incompetence, as I was pleading yesterday. Now it's just criminal malfeasance. Like you intentionally.
It's intentional. It's intentional. I feel there's a criminal element to this. Somebody is pulling some strings, and at the moment, it doesn't look like it was him. But like Daniel said, he is the guy in charge of the whole thing, so no excuses.
At this point, we don't care if it wasn't you. Please, the buck stops at you. This is your ministry. I agree with Daniel. We don't even want to hear who was. We don't care who did it, because it is your face that is here representing the ministry, and you are the one saying, "Say, oh, Asemba is Bema." So Bema, stand there and take it. Because no,
A friend of mine just sent me a text. He just listened for 5 minutes and he already gave up.
He shouldn't give up. He should listen to more.
Actually, I was listening to it during my hearing, and then I realized that like the Mibufu it's not because of the hearing I'm listening to. So I better mute this so my decision doesn't come affected by what I'm listening to. Because it makes no sense.
Daniel said I give up. Yo, this is just incredible. How did this guy manage to be a minister? That's my question. The
thing is, it's not incompetence because he was the chair of the procurement. It's okay. Let's finish listening. It's okay. I won't say anymore. It's okay.
In relation to the contract and the reference,
Honorable colleague, I think we have to keep to the confines of what we are doing. We wrote to the ministry. In our letter, we asked whether or not they sought the AG's advice. In their response, they have brought us a letter they wrote and a response from the AG. To ask again why or how because they have given us a document. So I think that if we were going the path of Honorable Ajari on the content of the advice, I believe that that would be appropriate for us to make progress. So I'm pleading with you because we really have to make progress on the issues. I keep repeating and I keep reminding us, we really have to make progress on the issues.
Chairman, thank you very much for the intervention. I know what you are doing, but I will try as much as possible to resist the temptation. Whatever question that I ask, I know the purpose for asking that question. So he has answered the question that the Attorney General is the legal advisor in line with the 1992 Constitution. The follow-up question is that in relation to the contract under reference, what was Attorney General supposed to advise you on? the contract that we are speaking about with the Sheikh.
Honorable Chair, do I take it directly or it goes
Yes.
to my honorable
Honorable
minister
Chair, with
and
your
he
indulgence.
refers to me?
Please proceed.
Very
Though
well.
we have the letter and the response, your letter states why you need it. You see, Bernard, I don't want as chair to be, so then go straight, that you can then say, having submitted the letter from the AG's office to us, could you address this committee on this? Then we can make progress. Council, I'm begging you. Let's make progress. So you lay the foundation for him, and the specific thing you need, you ask. No, but here we have the document. He's furnished that, and we all agree that documentary evidence is part of the requirement. Here we have the documentary evidence. The oral that he's supposed to give for elucidation and all that, please put that to him. No, you have the letter. Council, I overruled the question. You have the letter. You have
Wow.
the response.
Grateful. Been overruled. I will proceed from there. Honorable Minister, you would agree with me that you started negotiation on
Wow.
the 3rd, and you prior to the 3rd March.
The thing, Bobaba.
You've again entered into a contract on the 9th day of March 2021. The Attorney General, as you said, is supposed to advise you on this issue. Yet, you choose to write to the Attorney General for advice a day after you have entered into the contract.
That is so.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So, the advice.
I saw the cry almost. So after you've already gone to the contract, you now write to the Attorney General for advice.
Oh, I'm very familiar with that move. We do it. We have it in the U.S. Army. It's called it's better to apologize than to seek permission. Like,
all right,
you are determined to do what you're going to do.
Mhm.
So it's okay to just do it. Now, then you go and ask and be like, oh, well, I'm sorry. It's done now.
This guy obviously is a veteran from the U.S. Army. From how he just went around everybody. Oh, Jesus Christ! Hey,
I was
no
on
wonder.
mute. I was on mute.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I was on mute. I was saying some stuff. Maybe you didn't hear. What she just said is called rectification, right? But rectification has to be done with utmost good care. You can't just do rectification on something that it's blatantly you meant to do the wrong thing, right? So in this case, Kwame, there are instances where the agencies of time requires that you enter into a contract to secure a service and then go back to the appropriate quarters and get it rectified so that it becomes regularized. But Kwame, you only do such things only when what you are going to seek rectification from, no controversies. There are issues that per the reasonable man standards are okay. Assuming he had gotten the FDA approval that we are talking about,
Mhm.
and he signed this contract before going to the Attorney General. You see that wouldn't have been an issue in the context of what we are discussing. But because you circumvented all that, and now even the Attorney General who was advising you to go get that FDA, what do you call it, emergency whatever authorization stuff, you went to sign the contract before going to ask him for his advice. It meant that the intentions and everything surrounding this thing was from the get-go not right. So it's like you having this way to turn the man out there, like you more like, I mean, you put the cart before the horse,
He's a habitual cat before horse.
You see, we have to charge him for wasting the time of the public officer, because we are wasting the time of the Attorney General by doing that, right? What is he going to look at now? And the Attorney General has a lot of other issues he has to avert his mind to. Now he has to waste time
see,
looking at something that has already been done and sealed. And inefficiency. You're just creating a lot of inefficiency in our public sector by doing these things, you know?
This thing is even funny. This is habitual because, first of all, for him to go do this, he had to bring it to Parliament. He sidestepped Parliament, sidestepped the FDA, sidestepped Attorney General. To just, I think I'm thinking he was at gunpoint and he had to get this done.
Let me play devil's advocate real quick. Nanaya, you are sitting there talking about ratification and why. So anybody who has done procurement knows that this thing exists, right? Me, I don't do procurement. I don't know. So anybody who has done procurement knows that ratification exists, right?
Right.
So me, if I was him, that I know that the person that I am going to deal with, you people will not give me permission because one, we're Bumuda.
Right.
I didn't make a telephone on Nankasano. On the website, the for Riasia, I see a deal with what be.
That be oil and gas.
Three. Misika na bengano me de momo beka ho a misika na so bete because now we na obia be ka na dia small.
Right.
Me who sa no na minim se bibi o ha your friend ratification no. I will go straight sir. Miria na be ratify.
See, first of all, Parliament approval, he sidestepped. Ratification number 1. FDA, sidestep. Ratification number 2. Attorney General, sidestep.
Kwame, the sad thing is that in these instances, his intention was not to go back to get rectification from Parliament and FDA. It appears from the Attorney General perspective, that was what he was trying to do. Right. But from the narrative, I don't think he was seeking to go get ratification from Parliament and then what do you call it, the FDA. So I'm not sure. And if you had gone to these two institutions, what would they be doing? If they had looked at the contract and Kwame, there was some good sense in it, they will rectify it. But given the issues, I doubt if Parliament would have rectified this for you. You know, given the issues that we've just
first of all, as soon as they had Al Maktoum, the deal will be over.
Because they were like, "But this guy, we've dealt with him before. We've dealt with him before. What is going on here?"
Up to now, we're still, although we are using the machine, we are still talking about it.
So it's the fact that he wanted to use Al Maktoum, and he knew that there was no way on this green earth that anybody was going to approve for him to use Al Maktoum. So here is what I think. He said yesterday that Al Maktoum approached him. I think Al Maktoum offered him a cut.
Right.
If you get me this contract, you get this percentage. He went home. He thought about it. He woke up the next day. He prayed about it. He decided, Anya Shekro Bitmiako confession. They will forgive him for it. And he continued with his plan.
Kwame, this is what we call inductive reasoning, right? On the basis of the facts and the specifics of what we've learned, you can come to this conclusion, right? You can just walk that path straight away into whatever conclusion she's come up to.
I totally agree with her.
So yes,
at this point, nothing makes more sense than what Obaya has just said.
Right. So this is why sometimes
hence the price of the vaccine.
Yes, once sometimes we agree. That is why it's always important to get the facts, because it's the fact that will lead you to a logical conclusion, right? And that is why I always want to stick with the fact, because if you are sticking with the facts, Kwame, it will be very difficult for anybody to say otherwise, right? Now, see, once we brought this minister up and now we are putting the facts before him, Kwame, you see that there's no room for you to play around and play with tricks on us. Now we are all sticking to the fact, Mr. Minister. This is what is in the contract. This is what they say. Bam, bam, bam. And you see that once the facts are put to him, how is he going to run away from that?
Oh, then you missed yesterday's interview.
Okay, maybe I
back to him.
Hey, and then the
Nibuefu.
Nibuefu
But
said
today he said when Nibuefu said why they he said
I mean,
that this is an inquisition.
interview where is in there and then they see is this today or it's old? It's
No.
2 days old.
It's like 3 days old.
Okay,
But we started reviewing it yesterday.
I see.
And
Okay.
some of the things he was saying yesterday. On Nibuefu said they're asking him questions.
Sure.
And he referred to the probe as an inquisition.
But what was it supposed to be? Was the probe supposed to be what? What was the nature of the probe supposed to be?
There was someone sitting there said, "This is a friendly conversation." This is not a friendly conversation.
What? Friendly?
People's life is at stake.
If we did friendly, we'll come to your office. We won't be on camera. Everything is on camera, right? This public.
Nanaya, he said that basically you people were about to die of COVID. He has gone to Ramu and get you vaccine. What is all of this? Just give him an award. Be thankful.
I
and
agree.
move forward.
Yes, I agree that we're supposed to die of COVID, but you don't increase that death rate by your little. I mean, that's what we're talking about here.
Okay.
Hassan.
Okay. My member. Okay. So also and Kwame Matia coach you want me go for more pa. Because he be question also no. Failure now what like explanation of the man, which means onimnioye. But Ghana no ye German nka, and you know, like he took us for granted. Say ye be question, and you know, or the procedure never call parliament. But at the end of the day, you know, me and me in charge of it. So I have the veto power. Say meet me and me pay Ghana for me to ask the question there. And he didn't know say this one the. Right now, Ghanaians are like you think something which is the you know. I say we know we are into it. And you know, when you're prepared, say you know, maybe some additions. Oh, and it's my free. I say free create channel. So team be crying a road team be crying. I'm some because it doesn't make sense. Mitia Kwame, say like when you be your business, right? Na nipa na sign contract. Also nipa like nipa na oton ade na ma ono. Oni time. But look at the amount of money.
That was yesterday. I think I wasn't privy to that. They asked him how he signed the contract so hurriedly. And also when Mark Tun came to Ghana, the man didn't have time. The man is a businessman, so he was leaving. So they had to hurriedly.
But that is how these people behave. These people, when they want you to sign something, they pretend as if they have some agent meeting and they have to go and you have
this is
a trick.
It's a simple KJTR trick.
It's a simple trick. So if you're a minister, you don't know this up to this point, and you're a minister, then I'm sorry. I don't know where your experiences have come from for all this one.
This trick is if you go to tiptoe, circle, KJTR, Napoli, Rivoli. Sunyani 18. This is a trick you see. Phone iPhone 2.5. Now first can my man be na koko. That's the same trick Almaktun used.
But take bullet for all the you know because I didn't know can first no mean all that you know not mean himself onim procedure no. But listening to the explanation, no, there's no way so I call catch him so there's no way. It's an intention, which means that on a scapegoat to the punishing. No, not the other colleagues no more cancel on signing on your it should be a lesson for those people. But Ghana they kind of bad. There's no punishment there.
I think the panel has decided say we don't care about him being a scapegoat or whatever. He knew what was going on. He didn't say nothing. Now he's here to answer questions. That's his problem. Another problem. If you make people, if you become a puppet for people to pull your strings, that's your problem. When I head of the ministry. All right.
Oh, scapegoat family there. You see, shut down fire home because you said in yesterday everything you said. You are the minister, so therefore, At this point, even if you finger them out for us, we don't care
We
because
don't care.
yesterday you said you are the minister. Therefore, we don't even have the right to be asking you these questions because it was a national emergency and you had to go and find the vaccine. Now, yesterday, I think he did a better job defending himself by just getting angry and shutting down questions. And then you have exposed yourself way too much.
I didn't follow yesterday, so I don't want to comment about more of yesterday. But I don't know the panel who asked the question yesterday. It appears the people who are asking these questions today are well composed. They've well researched.
It's the same people.
It's the same, but yesterday, you know, or you see intimidation, say like, oh no, you're a big man. So there are certain questions you are like you can't ask a big man question.
Oh my goodness!
That kind of arrogance, you know. About the play, foreplay, and then the youth, you know. This is a thing, yeah. Into my economy, no, economy, no, my arguing, you know, I fucked up, but all the same, no. I so could jail. For real, he needs to go to jail. If you're not new IGP or the number, or if you're
that's about permanent leave. He wasn't sacked. He went on a permanent leave.
Leave of absence.
All right, if it's not going to end up with this man being criminally charged, they should stop playing with our emotions. If we're doing all this.
Obaya, I think that's where I disagree with you a little bit. I think the more we push it, the more we push it, the more everybody around is saying this should go somewhere. Even if it doesn't go to the courts, at least he'll be fired.
Oh no, that's we are past fire. We beg. At this point, I think somebody should start tagging IMF. Somebody should start tagging WHO. Whoever else, Macron that just gave us the loan that we borrowed the jet to go and get.
175.
Yes, I think he should be tagged too, so that everybody now knows that when you're giving Ghana money, this is what your money is about to happen.
Snitch.
So,
but 175
is not going to work internally. External forces must be applied.
Have to take external people. Yeah, that's true.
But Kwame, in all this, I have a difficulty. You know, usually in an organization, I mean, the idea is not that things will not go wrong. Things will go wrong, but the system should have a policing mechanism to be able to, fish out things like this. It appears all our system, nobody pointed out this. It had to take an external person.
Because
right?
True.
So there's a problem here because that means that if this thing went through all this and nobody caught it anywhere through this thing, and it would have gone on, Kwame, if not for that guy that foreigner, whoever that journalist was.
The Norwegian journalist, yeah,
whoever that person was, it means that this thing would have happened on our blind side. It tells you that, Kwame, the system is broken. Something is not working here because for a good system, a good system is a system that to be able to catch this thing at some point in the process.
I mean, we have system, we have the FDA, we have all those systems.
Kwame, that is the problem. We are talking.
Circumvented all these.
No, Kwame, look at. The fact that you have a system is different than the operative effectiveness of how this system should have caught up this. There's an issue, a real issue here. We have these systems there, right? But how come that in operationalizing the use of this system, we never was able to catch this thing in any of these whole processes? And it had to take an external person to give us information for us to now go looking for. More like, Kwame, it's like the boat would have, like what they say, you are running after the cat has, when the cat has left, that is when you are now running after it. When the evidence or the whole thing has gone away, now we are now going back to try and retrace the steps.
Nanaya.
Something is wrong here.
Today, I don't know where I went to sleep, but today you and I agree on something. So let me take this question. You know how you and I are always on opposite ends about how systems and laws are in place in Ghana, but the The follow through is the problem. The reason why none of the systems in place worked is because not only did he have the ability to circumvent the entire system, nobody checked him, because in Ghana, that is how it's always been done.
There's no
If
check
you're
and
a big
balance.
man, that is all you have to say. I am your boss. And everybody else, because the economy is not good, is just going to turn the other way. There are not enough systems and checks and balances in place. If one minister can circumvent the judiciary system and somehow self-finance, because from what he said yesterday, he did not go through the Ministry of Finance either. So let
me correct you. He was supposed to go through Parliament to get approval before
Yes.
the finance ministry will give him the money. He somehow got the money from the finance ministry without going through Parliament.
But because he had only 5 days.
So
No, Kwame. The issue is, guy in the bar, he only had 5 days and a rush, so he had to use the veto power. That was all the issue. I said no, also the guy was a business guy. He was in a rush. Rush. I feel now they call Parliament. There's no way.
So
Anson, I won't mind you. So the deputy ministers, his personal secretaries, whoever because there cannot be a Ministry of Health without having researchers that work directly and are subject.
He has a serious research team. He's got two deputy ministers, not just one. Two. He's got a director in every region and a national director in the ministries.
So this is the question for the FDA, So we are Ghana FDA doesn't come through. But right now, upon what this guy is even the FDA no cry no omo cry and check it and who's a drone no cry here. Okay.
The FDA checked, and the FDA gave emergency use. The only thing is, he cannot verify who the FDA has given emergency use authority to, and secondly, he cannot verify that it is Sheikh Hwan Hwan who has it.
Al Maktoum.
No, be oil. How come a person selling oil actually?
It's true. All die be die.
But at this point, we all understand. This guy was meticulous in trying to circumvent the whole system.
Yes.
And he ignored change, like he totally threw change management away. His onwa a man who approval. Now onwa
yeah.
So the system is there, Daniel. He was supposed to go through Parliament for approval. He totally ignored them. And because he's a big man, he still got finance from the Ministry of Finance somehow, without Parliament approval.
Everybody in Ministry of Health fired.
The
Ministry
next person
of Finance.
To be sitting and what am I doing? Any next person to be sitting here should be the Minister of Finance.
Yes, because this is just the one we know.
Kwame,
How many other backdoor deals have you approved?
Kwame, hold on. So Kwame, so what happened? Like we already paid for monies up front?
He got the money. We haven't paid for, because what happened is that.
So which money? Was it money that was specific to vaccine procurement, or it was bucketed in something? Like it was.
We paid for 15 grand. We paid for 15 vaccines. 15,000 vaccines. We were promised 20. The guy came out with 15.
So the guy already supplied it with 15.
He already supplied with 15,000.
The first one is a donation. Kwame,
No,
don't be-
donation was from AstraZeneca. So,
Right.
Minister Wade, the only vaccine any free waiting me up Taban Sputnik 15,000.
Kwame, so yeah, just yesterday I didn't follow into Fachami. So we already paid for the 15,000, right?
Yeah, we already got the 15,000.
It's a
I don't know
black
whether we
market,
paid it.
and your credit base.
I don't know whether we paid it yet, but we're going to pay. We have to pay. We already took the 15,000.
Oh, so we have
And
the
then-
Sputnik.
Yeah. See, the first red flag is that the guy promised to bring 20,000. He came to the airport and said, "Oh, I've got 15. Later, I'm the 5 now, bro." Then.
Oh, that's not a red flag because Ghana, it happens every time.
Now, Kwame, we tell you or the 90% are bro. They so far, we don't have fashion. I'm answering. I do see that concern.
No, Rafi, or a businessman, or Rafi.
Yeah, Kwame, but there's another question I have to ask. Finance side, because because when you go to the Ministry of Finance for approvals, the Ministry of Finance have to see 1 or 2 things for the disbursement, right? So there again, I'm coming to the system and the controls, right? If you took a contract to the Ministry of Finance, I should probably think that one of the requirements should require that where is the Attorney General's advice? In this case, maybe where is the FDA? Like they should require some itemized on the documentation to satisfy themselves that
I think the most
I'm trying to like understand like on what basis they just saw a contract letter and that was all.
First of all, who's a procedure with Parliament? And the papers now are here. And based on the information or my CCR, why is it was started? And no matter what, bank the finance minister be approve because of the can start it. And or typically criminal because
but what starting doesn't mean say it's complete. It's complete, right? It's completeness. We're talking about completeness here.
Yes, but Ghana no the system now any all that because what more say we need this vaccine and available until first come first serve. So what you say on all the paper we about parliament house or say more him but one care more want na so and on one samba say a business I also need time. So what you say because
Listen, first of all, one call parliament cry. See, and the question that Daniel Bisani say, it is a call finance minister on our own crap parliamentary parliament approval. Why would they issue him the money? Because they have to ask for Attorney General's advice, the approval you need to even come here.
It could be said that time I can or UK.
Yeah. Finance Minister thought that the emergency authorization also applies to his financial transactions. Therefore, the normal check system is not applicable here.
It's just like
Kwame, young question. Let's go on. Let's listen to the rest.
That seek parliamentary approval. It's clear on the face of the document we've been furnished. Please, let's make progress. Question, colleague.
Mr. Chairman, if you want to be the witness for me to cross-examine, you can. No. At the end of the day, we have
the man is fed up.
Documents before us. Now, if the advice,
please, unless you want to take over the chairship, please, with respect, kindly withdraw.
Due respect to the chair.
I'm not giving you the opportunity.
Why withdraw? I withdraw.
We agree throughout to this public hearing that documents served on us would constitute primary evidence. We all agreed. We would, however, allow oral submissions for the purpose of elucidation, etc., etc. Any document which is before us, which already is an answer to a question, will not be allowed unless the witness is contradicting himself. Then you put it.
It's obviously contradicting himself.
Evidence to us. This is what you said.
But Kwame, I don't see why this should be an argument, right? If you have a document that answers to a question, lay the document as a foundation and then ask your question, so that we don't, because it's a process. The process has to be policed to an end. We don't waste time when you already have an answer before you in the document. And I mean,
the contract, all the comments, all the complaints made by the Attorney General would have been taken on board in signing the contract.
I couldn't agree with you the more.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I can come in.
Vice Chair, you may proceed, please.
Yeah. For the sake of emphasis, Mr. Minister, would you agree with me, per your admission, that you have sinned against the 1815 of the 1992 Constitution, just for the emphasis, so I will proceed from there?
All right, I'm gonna step out for a minute.
Thank you very much.
I didn't hear your question. That was an answer. I'm asking you a question.
You are not supposed to ask me questions. Anyway, for clarification, don't worry. Relax. Mr. Minister, I am saying that per the conversations we have had so far, would you agree with me that clearly you have sinned against Article 1815 of the 1992 Constitution?
Well, Article 1815 states.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I thought the guy should have had that article open before. Maybe he knows it, but we don't know it.
And my interest is on 1815. And I read 5. This article shall, with the necessary modifications by Parliament, apply to an international business or economic transaction to which the government is a party as it applies to a loan. And the definition of a loan has been defined, has been given. So will you then agree? You have already established that it's an international transaction. We have given you precedence from the Supreme Court and all that. That has, clearly been established.
I would say I agree to that.
Very well.
But I've said earlier that I relied on UI 61, which the chairman has said that was not superior to the Constitution.
Do you also agree and admit with me that the distributor, as you have described, is not an agent of the manufacturer? Has that also been established?
I don't think I will agree to you on this respect until the distributor refuses to give me an agency, how do I call it, engagement with the distributor, with the manufacturer.
I'm confused. How can you possibly buy something on the black market and still have this position?
Abaya, he signed the contract, right? So he knows more than we do. So he can conjure that relationship somewhere with whoever he spoke with at the time of signing of the contract. So I don't know why he is hopeful that he can get the distributor to agree that he was an agent. I don't know. If your contract doesn't say it, how else are you going to get that answer?
When the distributor has told you he is not an agent in the contract, it's okay.
Maybe he can conjure something outside of the contract. I don't know, but
Did this guy even read the contract before I was signing it? Did he even read the contract?
Please lay a pentum.
Yeah. The guy is a businessman. He was in a hurry. An area fee.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Not COVID, no. So for free.
I would say the lawyer want to answer this question.
colleagues, a question that has been asked and answered. As we do 360, but for emphasis, I would allow this question. But colleagues, let us avoid this 360. When a question, you go around, ask the same question and all that. I don't think we are making progress. Does that mean we are going to be on one issue?
Chairman, we'll pick us
This
up.
question on distributor and agent and whatnot is really not part of it.
But Kwame said that question was answered in the past. So,
Really, was it really answered?
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
oh, you
It was
sure?
attempted.
I thought we all got the answer. We knew, I mean, that this one an agent distributor thing. Anyway.
That's true.
Of the agreement where pharmacovigilance is properly captured to the of the agreement of MOH1.
Okay.
MOH1.
Yes, clause 6 has several sub-clauses.
Yes, under 6, all those clauses
all the
relate to the
provisions under 6.
pharmacovigilance aspect of the agreement.
Right.
Now, typical of medications, and I say this because I think we owe this committee a duty to assist. And it is in that spirit, Honorable Chair, that we are here. And I think that as a pharmacist in this case, I just want to say that it is useful to take note of this clause in respect of what we're doing, that this agreement says that we are undertaking to collect pharmacovigilance information, and the information is passed to the seller. The information is seller, and the seller in this case is the distributor, and in this case is the second party to this agreement. So to the extent that the seller undertakes to take pharmacovigilance information and proceed with the manufacturer, we think that there is a relationship of agents. And the obligation, as we explained earlier on, in terms of liability to everybody who plays a role. So to that extent, Chairman, I wish to say that we have explained adequately. And if you may permit, Mr. Chairman, with all due respect and humility, I can't resist the temptation of reminding myself that I am also the legal advisor to my minister. And my minister has come in good faith to assist the committee. So I will be very happy if from time to time I am allowed to guide my minister, because it appears that my minister is under cross-examination. Thank you, Honor.
We have sworn you in. Don't belabor.
I am grateful. I am grateful.
You deal with the issues. You are dealing with the issues as and when you know. So don't worry. We have read. You remember that earlier a question was asked whether you have found need to reconcile the Attorney General's agency vis-a-vis the provision in the contract which talks about distributor. I put that question across. So it is for you, this explanation that you are giving, to reconcile with AG on that score. That is not for us to do. You get the point?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Minister, did Cabinet approve this particular transaction?
No, Honorable Chair.
Cabinet didn't approve this transaction. Okay. Let's go back to SL Global for the meantime before I come back. SL Global. I'll come back. SL Global. Can you please furnish us with the letter you wrote to request the issue of LC in the name of SL Global, the response from the Ministry of Finance to same, and the LC itself? Can you furnish the committee?
Chair, I think the lawyer will be in a better position to answer on the LCL Global.
Proceed, Director.
Yes, we have the letter in the office. It's not with us here, unfortunately.
That's not acceptable.
So the assurance is that we'll get it as soon as possible, right?
Committee member has the letter. He can produce it to the to him, and then let him confirm it, and then he can read off of it.
The agreement between government of Ghana and the Sheikh on the 9th of March, and we have $19 per dose of Sputnik 5 on the 9th of March. Then you signed another agreement with
On the 3rd.
the Global on the 16th of March. A week difference. And you agreed to buy a dose of the same product at $26 per dose. Why?
Now, at the time, SA Global was presenting a product that was a bit different from the Sputnik V. And they were talking about a double dose in one, like Johnson & Johnson. And so they said $26 at the time.
Mr. Minister, have you read the agreement you have between SA and the government of Ghana and what was under consideration?
I think you allow the lawyer to answer this question.
It's a simple question. Have you read it? Yes or no?
Honorable Chair, the agreement between the Ministry and SL Global was amended, and yeah, we have only one agreement between MOH and SL Global, which was amended in terms of the financing scheme and the price, the unit price of the product. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
What product was under consideration?
Sputnik Light.
Sputnik what?
Sputnik Vaccine, the light version.
Sputnik Light.
Yes, and that is a one-dose product, single dose.
So let's clarify. So the Sputnik 5 from the Khartoum was a double dose vaccine.
That is so, Honorable Chair.
And one was costing the 19.
That is so.
So for a complete dose under Khartoum would have been 38.
That is so, Honorable Chair.
And then that's for SL Global is 2-in-1, which is 26.
Single dose, that is so.
Single
Chair.
dose.
Which was reviewed downwards under the amendment.
Which was reviewed downwards under the amendment to what?
To 18.5.
0.5. Okay, you've attached it in the exhibit.
That is so, Honorable Chair.
Now, so have you established an LC for SL Global?
Not that we are aware of. We've given instruction to the Ministry of Finance, but the LC has not yet been established. To the best of our knowledge.
Okay, so Leonard, does the contract subsist?
That is so, Honorable Chair.
It does?
It does, Honorable Chair.
Where is their source? This SL Global, it is also an agent, a distributor for that product. Where is their source?
Their source is from Russia, the manufacturer.
Okay. Now, is it the same manufacturer that is supplying both vaccines, the Sputnik 5 and the Sputnik Light?
To the best of our knowledge, yes.
Very well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I want to find out from the minister why he entered into a contract without
I think we're just going to I think we have to end it there. I don't know if you guys are still, if you want us to continue with this next week, because I'm here, some of us are going to have blood pressure issues after this.
What's always next week? I'll hear the Ghana Kobon.
Because apparently, says Sputnik Light and also so if you go to their website, it's also $10.
No, African country is different price.
It's also $10 on their website, and we decided to go through another third party to go get it. Or started with 26, and a little it's about 18.5. Like, If it was to be any of our normal dealings in EBDI, I'll be okay with it. But this had to do with an emergency, and people are going to die if we don't get in time. First of all, we are late in the game because Yarena started March of this year, and March of last year, and Yarena started here. Last of this March.
Yarena started like Oka Global and maybe say crew
Global.
Global started October
of 2019.
Right, in China. Yeah.
Right. I think around March now, like Ghana, you started saying
around March now, me say WHO no declared the pandemic. Like it became much more heightened for everybody to be very
right. So
concerned.
let's put it on March before Saturday bound. It took Ghana all the way to March this year for us to go after AstraZeneca. No, March this year, I've been saying I Sputnik. And then we decided to say we're just going to go through the most expensive path to get the medicine. And this is what has happened.
But Kwame, your timelines doesn't necessarily tie up from if you March last year to March this year. No, doesn't mean that the medication were ready by that March when the
No. My partner said we have a whole year to plan on how we're going to get the vaccine.
Okay, so in that aspect, okay.
Yarena, but everybody is clamoring for a vaccine.
No, we don't have we didn't. Did you say we have a whole year from that March? Because that March we didn't have a vaccine, right? I
know, right? But people, even here, it was on the news all the time that they are preparing a vaccine.
Yeah,
if you are somebody who is forward thinking, the vaccine is not even ready yet. But you have to start making plans as to how you're going to get it when it's ready.
Definitely.
What now the medicine is on the market. AstraZeneca, mobile, am a free medicine.
Kwame, saying the medicine is on the market, it's one thing, and then the availability to everyone that needs it is another thing. Yes, the medicine is on the market, but it's not available to, even as we speak today, you know that it's not available to.
If Al Maktoum can get it, how can Ghana get it?
That after the Russian thing, I don't understand how it works. I've still been wrapping my head around how the Russian people are able to get third parties to get
the Russian prime minister. The Russian prime minister even talked against going through third parties. He said, if you want the medicine, just come straight to us. The medicine it doesn't cost you. It's not more than $10. Don't buy it anywhere when it's more than $10.
Even before that, let me ask maybe the panelists if they can help me out. What before Russia, I thought the Chinese too had a vaccine, right?
Yeah, but it's China.
So like what was the but why are we China na the starting fee and the team say authentic and if you no more you draw the everything you said and they all say man why did we have trust in the Sputnik version? I'm trying to, because at the time I know the Chinese version was around.
China the Sputnik was actually the first vaccine.
Oh, I thought the Americans started first. Oh
no, it was Sputnik.
No.
Sputnik
China had the first vaccine, but China would not let WHO or anybody else have insight on their efficacy or even the studies they did. This is why no other nation other than China is currently taking China's vaccine.
Yeah, but Sputnik was before the 3 US vaccines coming up. Sputnik came way before it, but we didn't trust it. But I think an African country, somewhere Southern Africa, has used it, and the efficacy was proven. So that's when people started going in there to try to get a Sputnik too. But what I'm saying is that
is the China one working?
Nobody has a clue.
We don't know. We still don't have access to their studies.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
we just
even the health minister was smart enough to know says China there. Uncle.
Kwame, what can I be around when they say we were quick enough to trust Madagascar, right? Was it Madagascar
I'm gonna be Bibi Dro by now.
I would never
Yeah.
know about yeah, people were blasting us all over. Say, Mukro Baba Africa, drama. Why would you go for it? And then
Wow, Madagascar.
Well,
Yeah,
Are you talking about the neem tree? The neem tree?
then, oh, you,
thing?
Yeah.
right. We're quick enough to
think
go. So let's
Madagascar-
go and get it. And so why would we distrust China? Where the source of the thing is started listening, you have a machine, you want to distrust them.
and then the WHO improve in there. And a baby, ever quack Botiano. So, or who's all the court China. So, I know, so, possible.
Hey, that's
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Bibi,
started back. I hope Hannah started. Yeah, Nasa omu entimi and contain it, and this like not even from a anti-Chinese point of view, is China is very tight-lipped about everything that happens in China. The fact that China even reached out to the outside world for help with COVID, that automatically lets you know that China had no control whatsoever on the virus.
It was way
Therefore,
beyond them. Yep.
Right, because if China could have controlled COVID when it came out, China would have done the same thing it did during the bird flu and it did during SARS. China would have cut the outside world out, and then because we didn't realize, the international health community didn't realize SARS was a problem until Korea had the SARS outbreak. But China had been dealing with SARS for almost a year and didn't let anybody know.
Oh yeah.
So if China could have controlled COVID, then I would have had some faith in any vaccine that they put out. But they had dealt with it for how many, goodness knows how long, before they even let us know. Because now the U.S. has figured out that our first, because Seattle, my home state, we had the very first positive COVID person, and the person had died almost 6 months before we even knew COVID was a thing. So that tells me China was dealing with COVID. Yeah, I am.
Oh,
so
I didn't
that
know
tells
that.
me
Wow.
China was
I didn't know that. Wow.
Oh yeah. So, and the person who died from COVID for us, he was of Chinese origin. So that tells me China was dealing, not just me, but the general consensus we've reached on the public health aspect is that China was dealing with COVID for at least 9 months before they even let anybody know that they had a problem. They didn't let anybody know they had a problem till they had to collapse that entire, because I don't know if anybody remembers the genesis of this thing, but China didn't let on about COVID till they had to collapse an entire city on top of their own people.
Oh, yep. Yep.
Because they had been using that
Wuhan.
Yes, they had been using that island to segregate people to try and figure out what this thing was. So they were just like in the olden
that
days.
one, no, I don't believe that Wuhan, no, because okay, me boy dealing with Ghana crew, so maybe kum nam no. And Wuhan wet market now. Near any comparison. I don't know Ghana on the any outbreak. Because
But
okay,
see,
maybe
that's the thing. The city,
so I don't believe that Wuhan issue, you know.
The city that was that collapsed on, let me just say that collapsed on itself was not Wuhan. The city that had all their, Wuhan was just the place that the first doctor was brave enough to sound the alarm.
Yeah.
And even that, somehow he died of the virus.
He died. Yep. He died somehow. Yep. You know.
Wuhan was just the first place that they sounded the alarm. But in that same alarm he sounded, he had said there was an entire city that they had given up on trying to control it. So what they had done was they had raised the city down on the people in there. So how true that is, we don't know, but I give it a lot of credence because this Wuhan virus became a big thing. So yeah, China's credibility in controlling this thing, I have zero faith in it. I don't think what the what is very obvious about COVID is that this strain of COVID, because the coronavirus has been around for a millennia. This is not a new virus. This has been around. What is very evident is that there's something very different from this virus versus the one that has always been around. So
I think the rumor that I had was that they were just experimenting on some coronaviruses in a lab.
I believe this was weaponized. I believe so. I believe this was a
biological weapon.
A biological weapon that broke free. It wasn't set free. I believe there was an accident, probably improper disposal of.
I think that's the rumor I had, that they put it on some animals some lab animals. They died and they were supposed to dispose of it, and whoever was in charge of it took it to the wet market to sell it.
Zoom lion for now.
And that is exactly how we ended up with SARS. It was improper disposal of carcasses of that virus. So the similarities are there. It's just, at this point, pointing fingers is not going to help anybody.
No. All right, so I think we are 6 minutes past our time. We're just going to end here. If anybody have some last minute thing to say about it, otherwise I'll just shut it down.
Please tag Trini Jones, because this probe cannot end here. Something has to come off this probe.
Trini Jones is Nanaya's arch nemesis, man.
I mean,
go ahead.
No, Sika Benashe, he was saying the Sika. I didn't get that.
We still have to pay the agent for the 15,000 that he supplied. And I think they said we have to.
We haven't. But we haven't paid for it.
No, I don't think we have.
That's my fault.
So I don't know how we going to pay for it.
We have to, because
I know the
in performance, I'm just asking it. I mean, devil's advocate question. In performance contract, once somebody delivers, you have to pay. That it's regardless of whether you had a contract or not. Regardless of whether you had a contract or not, you have to pay. But in this instance, given the fact and the circumstances, say international transaction, who is going to pay that money? Because
we are not going to pay, because I'll promise you 20. And all this 15 bags.
If you wait 3 because you have to pay. What deliver
contract. We go with the contract. Okay, so Obama is 20. You only brought 15.
But that doesn't mean the supply man. It means 5 now money you won't pay for the 15. Now,
problem.
The actual contract, he was supposed to give us 3.4 million doses.
Yeah.
It's already 15 and buy no friend or cousin Jack.
I want to go and work with this distributor. I think this distributor is a smart person. I need smart people around me.
Urim, he's part of the royal family of Emirates. Emirates were one of the countries that bought into the whole Sputnik vaccine thing. So me sure said the car no. 50,000 a car no, but my sharp crowd. Only access to get 3.4 million.
I think that was really my that committee for us, a committee members. I don't know them. Lady the man who
yeah, we have to find that lady. She did. I mean, her questions just poke everywhere.
But one thing about this committee, next time, among finance ministers, and finance minister,
somebody who is implicated in the crime to question the other criminal.
Right. They can't do that.
Finance Minister is now implicated.
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah.
Because you didn't have the parliamentary approval or seal or whatever, but you still released the money.
He didn't even have cabinet approval.
Ayaka.
No cabinet approval, no parliamentary approval, no no attorney general.
Panel catch finance. The next probe needs to be. It's not that next time. The next probe needs to be the finance minister.
And indeed, I'm saying, yes, I say it because it doesn't work. I'll be surprised, but I just at this point.
Yeah, Jessica, what was the 15,000? Yeah. He wouldn't have gone ahead if finance minister had told him to say even saying he wouldn't have gone ahead if finance minister can say
interest
assurance say
assurance no. That is if you have been paid already.
Okay, because I'll be surprised if anybody paid, and on what basis would they be paying? I'm yet to see that, but that's another interesting angle.
Finance minister, I don't know why busy. Still, he's sitting at Parliament answering questions about private jet.
I was surprised. In the Kwame, did I hear? I hope the news reported him right that he went to Parliament and told them that they should go to where the Minister of Defense.
Yeah, Minister of Defense.
I asked myself a question. If you knew that the answer was the Minister of Defense, why did you have to wait 3 weeks to come and tell them go to the Minister of Defense?
First of all, he told him he wasn't ready. He's not ready for that question. Later, I got someone called Minister of Defense.
That's it. He had to research before he had to know where to send them for the right answer.
The problem is, no Obabiti radio stations, you know, the questions now nipa be to public, you know, and then all the whole response no beba. Because Babontin no can say, okay, I got answers for all these questions now. And Kagana for basically, you know, all the better also only next 2 weeks and answer all the answers never ban. Then response now man for the ban no jot it down. And all the bread back.
Kwame, thank you. God bless you. I appreciate you guys.
At this point, I think we have to end here on a very, very Ghanaian note without a conclusion. That's a very typical Ghanaian note. I remember in reading,
Green, Afghanistan, Iraq, who are mostly Ghana.
Say don't look for God in Ghana. He left a long time ago. I'm here free Ghana. But anyway, we just end at this note and same time next week.
Yes, sir.
On behalf of Obaya, Hansen, and Nanaya, meeting it. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.